Let's cross now to Ed Husic and Josh Frydenberg, who are joining me now from Sydney and from Melbourne. Gentlemen, good morning to you. Ed, I want to ask you about some of the comments there from Tony Windsor. He's making it very clear in that interview and in previous interviews that his support is not guaranteed. Is now the time for Mr Rudd and others to pull back a bit?
In terms of the premise of your question about Kevin Rudd pulling back a bit, I mean, how many times have we said over the last few days that people are trying to get on with the business of government and trying to ensure that we do so in a way that best represents the people that we're there for. And you've heard both the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister say there is no challenge. And so, we're just trying to get on with things. I mean, Tony Windsor, like any member of the House of Representatives, is entitled to express a view, and I know on here I've expressed mine from time to time. So you just got to take on record what he says, and but ultimately, and I think the other point he was saying is we've got a lot to do, and certainly again this is something I've said, that as a minority government with a very ambitious agenda, we just got to get on with the job.
I'm hearing this morning that there is a concession now among those supportive of a Rudd return, that momentum has stalled in moves to the Foreign Minister, and indeed that he'd be no chance of winning a ballot next week anyway.
Well, I mean, again, both the Prime Minister and Kevin Rudd have said that the focus is on getting on with the job. You've heard Kevin say on his way out at Mexico that he's the Foreign Minister, the Prime Minister's there. There's no leadership challenge. You've heard Doug Cameron's comments last night. So it's basically just keep working the way that we need to.
Can I ask you about the need for something to happen though to try and put this away, this distraction? Do you think that there needs to be a ballot at some point, or that the Prime Minister needs to confront Mr Rudd, that something needs to happen to end the speculation?
Well, certainly I think there have been some pretty intemperate comments over the last few days, and I had to, over the weekend, respond to questions raised at 3 different party meetings that I attended, where people were scratching their heads trying to work out how smart is it that we have senior ministers trashing other senior ministers publicly. If there is anything that should happen, Kieran, it is that people who've got a lot of experience, and I'm squarely saying this to Simon Crean, that people with a lot of experience be able to moderate what they're saying, because, as I said earlier, we're in a minority government, we've got a lot to do, and I just don't see how smart it is to not just once, not just twice, but on 3 separate occasions in one day go out on the front foot bagging out another minister. I couldn't agree more with what Doug Cameron said last night, that the trashing of Kevin Rudd and the way that it was being done, particularly by Simon Crean, is simply not on and has got to stop.
There have been suggestions that Simon Crean has been positioning to be the third possible candidate if the other 2 fall over. He's issued a statement this morning denying that, says that the reports in The Australian today are wrong, as he said other reports as well. What's the sense within the Labor Party? Do you think that might be a possibility? Mr Crean has come out swinging because he wants to try and position himself in that regard?
Well, I haven't heard that being seriously discussed as an option anywhere, and people have been just, as I said earlier, trying to get on with the job of what's required to get done in a minority government. So if Simon said that, that's good, because, like I said, I haven't heard anyone else discuss it.
Okay, well, let's bring in Josh Frydenberg, Liberal MP. Josh Frydenberg's there in Melbourne. Let me ask you about the Liberal Party strategy in all of this. Tony Abbott yesterday, I think for the first time in many weeks, normally he's out and about doing doorstops and so on. He did one interview and that's it. Is that a strategy as well, to try and keep his head down a bit and let the Labor Party focus on itself?
No, look, Tony Abbott is talking about the country, and the Labor Party, Kieran, is talking about themselves. And how bad is that for the Australian people? I mean, the point here is that the Labor leadership is turning into a very ugly episode of Big Brother. They all live under the one roof, but they just can't get along. And what's more, Kieran, they should all be voted out, and we need to have an early election. It was interesting listening to Tony Windsor, Kieran, talk about this being a hypothetical. Well, try telling that to Steve Gibbons of the Labor Party, who called Kevin Rudd a psychopath. Or try telling that to Graham Perrott, who's threatened to resign if they change leaders. Or try telling that to Craig Emerson and Nicola Roxon, who are out there canvassing numbers. And we've heard that Simon Crean has bagged Kevin Rudd for being disloyal. And now, this morning, you have Ed Husic, who in every paper is aligned with Kevin Rudd as one of his key numbers men, come out and bag Simon Crean. So this is just going to continually go on and go on. Now, Julia Gillard should bring it to a head. And what's more, if she's got the courage of her convictions, Kieran, she should sack Kevin Rudd as Foreign Minister. She should sack him. He's been disloyal. And Simon Crean attacked Kevin Rudd for a reason, because he had been disloyal. And I think she should sack him and go on with running the country, because Australia needs better government than has been given over the last few years.
Well, there's a news story. There's a news story. Liberals urging for sacking. I mean, it's in their DNA. Anytime there's a problem, sack someone. I mean, this is the way you guys operate.
Do you support Julia Gillard, Ed?
That's why.
Do you support Julia Gillard?
Yes, I do.
Do you support?
And apparently we're out there getting tattoos now. Yeah, I've got my Jules Rules tattoo.
All right. Will you get a tattoo about Julia Gillard? Will you get a tattoo for Julia Gillard?
Well, aren't you listening? You're too busy sacking people, Josh, and you're not listening.
He's already got one, he's saying, in music, but who would have thought that Josh would have a similar course, would suggest a similar course of action to what Simon Crean has said, because Simon Crean said the same thing.
They're all Victorians. That's the way they behave.
Hey, but are you...
That's right. Well, most of them are supporting Julia Gillard in your party.
Your criticism of Simon Crean, though, is that he has come out, had a go at Kevin Rudd for his behaviour. Can Kevin Rudd give a more unequivocal statement of support for Julia Gillard, like Brendan O'Connor called on him to do yesterday as well?
Well, how much... I don't know how much more he has to do. I mean, he said it. I mean, but that's the thing.
Did he put that video out?
Who
put that video out? Who put that video out, Ed?
Who knows?
Who put that video out?
We'll have to set up a Warren Commission, Josh.
I bet you know. I bet you know.
I do not know. And all jokes aside, I thought it was a dumb move because, frankly, we shouldn't. That type of stuff is just, university politics grade effort. That does no one any good. So
Mr. Rudd could get a tattoo, though, David Bradbury style.
Yeah, well, apparently, we're all probably lining up now for them. So, as I said, how surreal this is that you can't say anything, you can't do anything that allows people to be able to deal with the question and move on, because you just keep getting asked the question in various formats.
But don't you understand, Ed? You're creating this yourself. I mean, when you go out today and you attack Simon Crean, you are giving this story more airtime. When Graham Perrott threatens to resign, he is giving this story more airtime. I mean, the best is Doug Cameron saying we should all go on and get on with our jobs. Well, the fact that he's gone on air and slammed Simon Crean is just going to give it more airtime. Look, the Australian people want an answer to how they're going to deal with the carbon tax. They want to know, why is investment going offshore because of the mining tax? They want to know, why is ANZ and Pacific Brands and Westpac all sacking people? They want answers to those jobs. Let's talk about school reform and education. Let's talk about getting our exports higher. Let's talk about dealing with the economic problems.
Let's
but
talk
instead
about
you're
a few
talking
of
about
those.
yourself.
Let's talk about a few of those after the break. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. This is AIM Agenda.
We don't make SUVs.